What's up, everyone? This is GL1526, Jill for short. Welcome to the Gunpla Lair. Today we won't be looking at Gunpla, but Poképla, Pokemon plastic model. This is the Poképla Scizor. Bandai apparently also produces these model kits of Pokemon. They're pretty low in price. This scissor kit I got for the equivalent of about $18 in our local currency. But we're talking about the highest grossing franchise here. How did they pull off products at such a low cost? Does this speak to the quality of this kit? Well, let's find out. Once built up, this scissor kit represents the character well. It looks sleek and menacing. It matches the proportions of the official line art, as well as the game's 3D model, as far as I can tell. I was having a Mandela effect here, thinking that Scissor had sharp, pointed horns and Bandai just made them rounded at the tip for safety reasons. Well, maybe that's part of it, but this was actually accurate to the source material. Turns out Scissor's horns are actually blunt. So yeah, overall this kit is a great representation of the character. Being a bug steel type, the character design gets away with segmented body parts. As such, the joints and partitions don't look awkward on this kit. The only thing I see here that isn't in the source material are these seam lines on the upper part of the pincers, though I don't think they look too bad. If you want, you can address them with some plastic cement and sanding, but it isn't really necessary, in my opinion. For color, Scissor is mainly red, and the shade band I used here is perfect, I'd say. If you want to match the appearance from the Scarlet and Violet games though, you'd want to give this kit a candy coat. Dark gray is used sparingly, breaking up the reds. There's also a minimal amount of white, with the wings being translucent. Now, if you like Scissor and their shiny color, you'd want to bust out at least 2 shades of green paint. For accessories, this kit comes with a display stand, extra pairs of arms, and effect parts with their own stand. The display stand is fairly simple, with the circular base and a 2-segment arm. The base is just the right size for Scissor, making it stable without having excess footprint. It has 4 attachment points, though in most cases I only use the central one and this one on the back. Still, it's good to have options. The arm attaches to the base with a simple circular peg. You can rotate it any way you want. The movement points are stiff enough to hold the position you put it in. I've been moving this a lot during this review and there's no sign of them loosening, so I guess that's a good sign. Scissor then connects the arm via 3mm slot, which is standard. If you want to use a different stand for the kit for any reason, you can do so. Scissor can stand on its own, but because the feet are quite small and the center of mass tends towards the top, it can be tricky to balance, limiting the poses you can do. So this stance comes in handy. Bandai implemented part swapping for changing the angle of the arm bend. You have a pair of fully straight arms, which you'll probably use mostly for attacking poses. And there's a pair of slightly bent ones, which I think is meant for neutral or relaxed poses. Lastly, there's a pair of 90-degree bent arms which you can use to show Scissor winding up. They work well enough. I'll talk about this more in the build design section. Rounding up the accessories are these effect parts. They enhance the look when displaying the kit in an action pose. When using this, I mostly imagine Bullet Punch, but they're general enough. You can probably think of it as effects for any other moves. The effects attach to their stand via a ball joint. You can attach any of the 4 points as you like. It works well enough, but it's a bit annoying that it's too low. The effect that ends up at the highest point barely reaches a pincer pointed straight on. Yeah, maybe I have to modify this stand to make it higher. Anyway, that's just a minor gripe, not like it's too hard to address. For the articulations, let me take off these wings first. They just keep falling off. Anyway, you can tilt the head from here to here. You can do the exorcist thing. Don't know why you would want that, but it's there. The thorax is connected with a ball joint here, but rotation is pretty much all you got. If you try some more complex movements, it tends to come off. Even if it doesn't, there'd be an awkward gap. The arms are connected at the shoulder via ball joints, but like with the torso, it's pretty much just rotation. Also, due to the angle of this connection point, you'll have to get the head out of the way if you want to raise the arm upwards. As mentioned in the accessories, you'd have to swap parts if you want to change the angle of the elbows. You can rotate the pincer like so, and then you can open it up. You can rotate the legs at the hip completely. You have a single joint hinge for the knees. They allow up to a 90-degree bend. The feet are just static. Okay, so let me just reattach the wings here. So as you can see, the connection is just a small ball joint. With that, they can wiggle a bit and rotate a bit around. However, due to the connection points being a rounded surface and the ball joints being small, these wings easily come off if you move them in certain directions. This even happens when you're moving a different part around like the arm and you hit them slightly. So better off to set your pose up first without them and then attach them once you're done posing. Overall, this kit's articulation isn't much, quite the limited posing options. The parts coming off can also become annoying. Just pose it once and put it on the display. It'll stand there looking good. For the build, this is decent enough. If you build Gunpla, then this is pretty comparable to SDs or entry grades. The strongest aspect of this kit is perhaps the color separation. These gray parts are well implemented. They are even added inside the pincers, giving it a more detailed look. This eye section is also a separate white part. If you don't like to use the stickers, it is relatively easy to paint. Speaking of stickers, you have these circular ones on the pincers. There are details underneath, so you have a guide should you choose to paint them. On the less good aspect, I already mentioned the wings coming off easily. The thorax and arms also have this tendency, though to a lesser extent. Now about the swappable arm parts. Is this Bandai being lazy? Part swapping instead of designing joints? Well, no. I think this is actually the better choice. Yes, it's inconvenient to attach and detach parts just to change the elbow bend, but due to how thin these arms are and they are carrying these proportionally large pincers, jointed parts will probably be prone to separating or worse, breaking as you move them. So, all in all, this is meant to be a simple kit, friendly for young kids and beginner builders, and the build design, except a few aspects, achieves this well. So, Poképla Scizor, is it a good model kit? Well, yeah, it's good enough. It captures the look of the character well with faithful details, proportions, and colors. It includes useful accessories, particularly the display stand. Articulation leaves a lot to be desired, but passable. The build is quick and simple. There are some issues, but they're not that bad. You get an end product that can be displayed nicely. If you want to spend some extra time to make some modifications, you can do so relatively easily. That said, the price is comparable to an HG Gunpla. For example, I got this kit for around the same price as the Zoword, but the difference in what they offer are drastic. Of course, you can expect something like that since it's from a franchise that Bandai doesn't own. When you buy this kit, a good portion of the price goes to the name, the IP. If we put that aside for a minute, this kit should be the price of an entry grade. Considering that, this isn't such a bad deal. If you like Scizor, this is a nice representation of the character, though more of a display rather than play kind of toy. That's it for me though. Let me know in the comments if I missed anything. Give the video a like if it was informative. Subscribe if I earned it. And as always, enjoy building.